And away we go. We are recording. Welcome to Nancy and Kacey. And I've got two pugs with me today. I don't know if you can see, there's little Ella and little Tucker, and Rosie snoring at my feet. And I'm excited to see you, and I'm excited to talk about tools for disentangling.
Yes. Yeah, Kacey, as last week we finished our extended series on ingredients of change. And then you and I talked after we turned off the recording and both agreed that the listener, what we all want are tools. I mean, we do like to learn new things. We do like to see things in a new way. We like new information. And when it comes to mental health and counseling type things, often people will say, so then what do I do? What do I do with this? And I think that's just great that, from here on into our future shows, we're set up actually to do a bunch of different tools for it. So I know I'm yakking here, but I've thought about it. What I want to remind our listeners about, who are these tools for? What are we talking about here in our Kacey and Nancy show? I think that these tools are for people, we're going to call it self-recovery. Let's put that as our lead line here. And self-recovery for me is a couple of ways we can look at it. And that is if I am externally focused and not internally centered enough. If I'm really wondering how you feel about me or what you want me to do or how you're reacting, or if I'm worried about taking care of you and I'm not able to have that good internal focus that helps me to know how do I feel, how my body is, how my thoughts are. So we're wanting to help people have that balance. And the other language is if I'm over functioning on behalf of somebody else. I'm doing what you could be doing. I'm thinking it would be better for you to be thinking. So if I'm over functioning for someone else and the balance of that again is under functioning in my own life. Have I been helping to get you to your appointments and not begun to make my dental appointments or my mammogram appointment for the year?
Right.
Yeah.
And this can happen in a personal relationship. It can also, as I'm listening to you speak, be how you act with your boss. Maybe you overfunction and overdo at work.
Yes.
And deliver above and beyond to the point of your own exhaustion.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you put it that way, because as I was thinking about what I wanted to remind people of today is exactly what you just said. That's why our show is called You and Your Relationships. And it's any relationship. It can be your relationship, as you said, at work. It's certainly not just directed at primary partner relationships. It's definitely radiates out into relationships with any of our family members, co-workers, friends.
Yeah. So tools for disentangling. Give me a tool.
Well, Kacey, here's what I have in mind today, and I'll start, and then you'll just take us wherever we want. So I want to go, in early shows, we introduced this tool, and today I'm going to call it the life buoy. So let's see if I can, Kacey, tell me.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, okay, there we go. Okay, folks.
Detaching boundaries. Yes, the life.
Yes. So today I invite us to think about these 4 areas. We're going to swing back to them. The center could say self-recovery.
Okay.
And the circle is the buoy, life buoy is inflated with help in the areas of, and we'll talk about them in a bit, illusions, detaching, boundaries, and spirituality. Okay, so let's talk about it as a life buoy first, Kacey. Calling it that circle is new for me. I haven't walked around calling that it up until recently was a list.
Hmm.
of those four things: illusions, detaching, boundaries, and spirituality. As I went into my second edition, I knew, and I had been doing this in workshops, that I didn't want it to be a list. Because a list, we're all wanting to mark off a list, aren't we? Like, did that, did that, did that. My experience is that I'm moving around in any of these four areas.
Right.
So when the illustrator for the book took what my suggested, they created, Sarah is her name. She created this image. And here's two ways I want to invite us to think about it without looking at the details. Let's think about it as a life buoy. To be honest, I think of a life buoy as on, I most recently, a couple of years ago, Monty and I took the Long Island Ferry from Connecticut over to Long Island. And so I think about being on a ferry, and the buoys, the life buoys, if we all think about it, are mounted on the walls of the outside of in various places on the boat, on the ship. So when I need it, I want to take it off the wall and sort of surround myself with these areas, and the tools are going to come out of these four areas, and we'll take them week by week. But I want to remember that I have those four areas to support me. And the idea, this is where I want to say also, is that I don't need to wear this life buoy all the time. Okay. In early recovery, and as I stumble or go into complicated situations, I may want to take it off the wall of the ship and put it on me. But I also think that it can just hang and be our reminders as we get stronger with self, of those four areas. So shall I just jump in and talk about those, or where
Well,
would you like to go?
here's the thing. You see it as a life buoy. When I look at it, I see a bracelet with four beads on
All right.
it.
All
So
right.
illusions,
Okay.
detaching, boundary, spirituality. So when we're in a rough relationship or in a difficult place, this is great to look at these and say, which feels right to me now. Do we need to look at every part of each of the four pieces, or will one just jump out at us and say, facing illusions, maybe I'm not seeing this clearly? Is that
Yes.
how it works?
Yes.
Or, oh, maybe I need to detach, or maybe I need to set a healthy boundary, or maybe I need to turn this over to a higher power?
Exactly.
Or do I
It
have to do
does.
all four?
I love your image of the bracelet. So let's play with that one because, well, we all, various of us have our Fitbits on and our watches on. A bracelet's really nice. If anybody wants to create a bracelet
Yeah, right.
for us, we can market it, because that's great, because Kacey, it does invite, like a charm bracelet, we can sort of rotate it around and feel its different things. Yes. So um illusions, um to comment on them, and in future weeks we'll work on skills in each of these areas. But illusions is about seeing what I'm wishing for and what is true,
Right.
and what I'm hoping for and what is real. And so sure, we might find that, well, you know what, let me go all the way around. Detaching is about learning how to not be reactive, to not how to jump to a conclusion or jump to an offer even. I mean, it's interesting. We can jump to being reactive, but we can easily be the ones who fill the void if there's quiet in a room. And what detaching wants to do, if we're sitting at a meeting and they say, well, who will take charge of this meeting next week? And we're all just sitting there. What we want to do is not be the one who can't stand it and who just feels like, oh, the quiet. Oh, I need to jump in, and I'll do that. We want to be able to quiet ourselves and go, do I want to do that? Oh, wait a minute, I won't even be here next week. This type of centered, thinking it through. So detaching in general, it has many more aspects to it than that. Boundaries are boundaries, and that's learning where I end and where the other person begins, learning to honor boundaries that people have set with me. Sometimes I was somewhere recently and the person kindly said, "No, Nancy, I said I didn't need that." And I'm like, "Ooh, I made them say that again."
Yeah,
I
right,
wasn't, so we think often of setting our own boundaries, which are important, but they also do work both ways. And of course, last time we were just talking about spirituality and the range of we can not buy into it to all the way to we can be curious and explore it, or we can totally find it helpful
right.
to think that there's something greater than ourself. And how can that work? So yeah, Kacey, now I'll go back to your thing about the bracelet. I could once I get able to use those 4 areas, realize pretty quickly that I'm needing to set a boundary, say.
Right,
It's like that's the area. So let me pull up my skills and tools for that.
right.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
have to tell you, I was just speaking to a woman before we got on this call, and this was her problem. She owns a professional business. She's taken on an intern who really could use a break, a young woman who really could use a break in life. And she's mentoring this intern because she wants to give her a chance to, shine. But this intern isn't uh, grasping this opportunity the way the woman wanted her to. So she came to me for some advice, and I was able to be the person standing outside and say, "You're over functioning. It's lovely. It's lovely that you want to help this girl, but you're over functioning. You've given her so many opportunities and she's not delivering what you need. You have a very elegant business.
Right.
Function over there." You know what I mean? This
Yeah.
intern
Oh
that's
yeah.
wonderful that you want to do this, and this intern will either sink or swim. But
Right.
honey, you know, pull it back and focus on your beautiful, elegant business because you've done what you could. And the thing was, she just wasn't seeing, which is why she called me for help. She just wasn't seeing the situation clearly. It's like she was so in it,
Right.
and, and with the best of intentions of wanting to help this young woman, she couldn't see that she had done all she could, and she kept digging. Like, well, what if I do this? And what if I do that? And what if, no, honey, you just need to go back and do what you do.
Right.
Right? So,
Kacey, it's a perfect example. So let's use it. We may play with it a little bit more. First of all, how was she hoping we're going to layer the problems first before we unlayer, we go to the solutions. What was she hoping you might be able to do to help her help the other person?
she wanted, she wanted my eyes on it. You know what I mean? She said, "I know I'm not seeing this well. Tell me what you see."
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that is great.
Yeah.
So
So
everything you were able to say did help, didn't it then?
she felt so relieved because we do this, especially in relationships when it feels so good to help someone, right?
Yes,
And she
yes.
just kept digging deeper and deeper, investing more and more into an intern, thinking that one day she'll graduate from college and she'll be have this whole new career, and I was a part of it. I'm over dramatizing it.
Right, right, right.
Might not be the girl, you know?
No,
And
abs
I, and I also said, you cannot underestimate the seeds that you may have planted. And,
right. And we may never know.
and,
And we
now,
may really never know.
and
And we
this
may,
young woman may grow up, grow into a different situation, and take all she learned from you and put it towards something else. But
right.
right now, you've invested as much as you can. This is my opinion. You've invested, you've done good. Now take a
Yeah.
step back.
Yeah. So, Casey, that really invites me to pull into one of the detaching tools. I feel like we've explained whether people want to see it. One, as a life buoy, two, as a bracelet, which is wonderful. And originally I had thought of it simply as a sign, like a stop sign. It's not a stop sign. Well, it could be, but it is a highway sign.
Right.
So, folks, that's one of the tools today is that sign, bracelet, life buoy, whatever you love.
And
Write to us at Nancy and Casey at gmail.com if you want to tell us another image.
right. But more important than the image is what the areas are: facing illusions, detaching, setting healthy boundaries, and spirituality. Man, if you just had those on a sticky note, for almost any problem you came up against, you'd say, you know, what which area of these is calling out for me? Because I think you kind of
It
know.
is. So I will I'll use that as the example. How are we for time, Casey? What are we doing?
I think we got 10 minutes.
Yeah, so I will. I'm going to do one of my favorite tools. So, working off of that example that you gave, which is like, the reason it's perfect is because it's common.
Mm,
It's way more common than we think. And none of this is to rank out people who are trying to help. I mean, many of us see the potential.
yeah.
Let's work with that example in someone. Hey, I got what you need. I've decided this is what you need. See, that's where the thinking it's a little off. But anyway, it's so common. Okay. So the tool that jumps out, not the area that jumps out for me is detaching. And the tool that I love, I call the line down the page. So here it is in it, and I use it. People who know me have heard me talk about it. The line down the page is a line from where I end and you begin. And it's not a boundary. You'll hear me use that when I talk about boundaries. But in this case, often, and as is true for the listeners right now, and you may be on Apple Podcasts. So let me say that what I'm going to do, I'll show this is not profound. I'll show YouTube first. I just gesture a line, a vertical line in space that's just showing I'm here and you're here. So
Okay.
Casey, I would draw it between you and I here. Okay. But important for us to really see this vertical line in space. So what I say about it is that we can go to the line and offer whatever we want to someone, an idea, an inspiration, a suggestion, money, a gift, a card, whatever we are giving. And then in a healthy relationship, the person on the other side of this line down the page, we have to, in a healthy way, give them space to come to that line to either pick up the card, pick up the gift, pick up the offer. And we want to honor their doing it. I mean, a simple example I have in the book is somebody was saying that they had an ex who had gotten a promotion and they wondered if they could mail a birthday card to them. No, I'm sorry, a congratulations card. And I'm like, well, there's no right or wrong here. You can take that to the line and offer it. Here's where to be mindful and present with yourself. Are you having expectations that they're going to run and pick it up and do X, Y, or Z with it? If you can lay it on the line and step back and let the person see whatever they want to do with it, and be careful, don't keep watching at the line
Right.
to see what's happened, what's happened. Um, that's what we want to be able to do. And that's what your friend, she was offering to the line things to this intern, but then she was doing, because she had lost her perspective.
Hmm.
Yeah, she was doing what I say, if we're not careful, we keep pushing it over the line.
Oh
We
yeah.
keep nudging it over the line. and then we're on their side of the line all of a sudden.
and
Yes.
and that's exactly why we can't see clearly, because we're all the way on their side of the street.
Beautiful.
And two, what I saw in this relationship, she was giving this intern everything that she herself never received. She's a complete self-starter. She has done it all on her own, paid for her college and then got her extra training and then opened her own business. And maybe somebody came and helped her hang a shelf. But aside from that, she has done it all on her own. And I think there's a part of her that wishes she had had a little support, or
Sure.
wishes she had somebody who had taken her under their wing. So now she was giving to this other person everything that she had wished she had received. But it may not be what this intern wants or needs.
Right.
Right?
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, and so that's what I think in that case, not only did she do something great to get her perspective straighter, what we want to be doing is, if we're at the line, to say, what is it you would like?
Right.
What would you like? I mean, I say this with often with parents and adolescents, or adult children even. The parent has already arranged for this, that, and the other, and I'll say, have you asked them if that's what they would like to do? And it actually hasn't even dawned on them, because again, we're on their side of the street. And again, kindness, compassion, we think it's a great idea. And by the way, it may be a fabulous idea.
Absolutely.
But as Kacey, you're saying so well in so many ways, it may not be what they want.
Right.
And
Or
that's not even
yeah, or
what.
what they, this intern, she's very young. It just might not be her up to her skill set yet. Maybe it's beyond her skill set. Maybe she'll get there one day, but she ain't there now. So
Right.
please get
Yeah.
out of her business and get back to yours.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Or so I'll offer this as an in between for our listeners too. This takes this tool called the line down the page in the detaching arena. And if the person is meeting us at the line, if they're not meeting us at the line, we can't do this.
Well, that is a great insight. Right. If they're not meeting you at the line.
We might as well. Somebody might say, well, then what do I do? Well, then I go on about my own day. I have plenty on my side of the line. Or as Margaret, hey, Margaret, my dear friend and colleague from camp, Codependence Camp, says, she talks about it in terms of yards. And, there's plenty in my yard needs mowing. I don't need to come over and keep trying to mow yours.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I mean, it works much deeper than just that, but it's always a simplistic, I'll go back to my yard. But here's what I was going to add, Kacey. If that intern was meeting her at the line, then what we can also do is we can say, I feel like I have a number of things I can offer you. We could do this, or we could do this, or I could help you with this. Do any of those interest you?
right. Right. Right.
And if they said yes, then we would say, well, tell me more, what would you like?
Right.
If they say not really, we could say, well, there, be here right on the line if you ever feel like you would like
Yes.
those.
And that's exactly how I left it with her. You've set it up. Now let's see what she does. If she doesn't follow
Right.
through,
Yes.
please don't waste your energy, And it's good to
Yes.
be clear about your intentions. Like the woman mailing the envelope, the congratulatory card. What is your intention here? Do you really want to congratulate him? Send him a text. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, Kacey, this was so long ago. We didn't even have text
Oh,
then.
but
Been at this for
what
decades.
what
And
are
I
your intentions in the action? What are you expecting?
Yeah, and by the way, what happened was we extended that conversation, and they realized that they were going to entangle themselves.
Right.
That you know, what you're alluding to there, that it wasn't just a free,
No.
a non-attached thing. And so they decided not, I think that's how it goes in the book, that they decided not to send the card. Now, again, they could have decided the opposite. If the intentions were completely, if they had moved on, they weren't looking back, they were just really glad. But it does require, you're calling them intentions, I call them motivations
Yep.
also.
Yeah.
What's motivating me to do this? And we
Right.
can talk about those motivations more at another time, because that's a that's a that's not in our awareness all the time.
No, it isn't. Absolutely. I agree. So I love this. This is our tool for the day. The page down the line, or the line down the street, or the fence between the 2 yards. Take your offering and bring it to the line, or to the
Exactly.
fence, or to the, you know, this
And release it,
and
right.
release
Mhm,
it,
mhm,
you
mhm.
know, and then go back to your side and go about your business.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, and
that's
enjoy your life. I mean, and sometimes, Casey, I will add this, if I leave it on the line and I turn around and go back to my business, I actually may have an odd space at first. It's not like I know, I might have been so absorbed and intent on that, project called the other person,
right.
that I really have to stop and regroup and touch base with what is it that I want to do with my day or my time, or now that I'm not spending it there. So that'll be another area to look at.
And I just have to close with the example that we spoke about off the air that I loved so much. This little phrase that you shared for me. I was telling Nancy how, in like different areas of my life, nothing is problematic, but there are a few places where I feel like my shoes are too tight. You know, like the relationships with my shoes are just a little too tight. And Nancy said something brilliant. So please share it with everyone.
Well, Casey was saying that she felt like that, you know, she needed to get rid of those shoes, which is not a bad idea. Casey, once I was working at a women's college, and we had come from a staff meeting, and one of the people, we were walking back in a building, she was tired of the pain of the shoes, and she literally stepped right out of them and walked away from them. And and they fit me fine, so I stepped into them. But anyway, but what Casey thought was brilliant was that I said, sometimes we can't get a new pair of shoes. Sometimes the people that, you know, we're dealing with are our blood relatives. They are our families. They may be a job that we can't just walk away and leave. Don't even want to. So we have to budget how long we're wearing the shoes. We have to budget our time and when to take them off. And I think later on I said, if I don't feel like wearing them today, don't put them on. And if I am putting them on, what would give them comfort? What socks would feel good? Which might mean, what can I bring comfort to me as I deal with those shoes for a couple of hours?
Right. You don't have to wear those shoes all the time. And then you actually gave another example about going into a difficult situation and bringing a nice warm mug of coffee with you.
Right, that's the comfort, right. Yeah, the shoes hurt, but I can go and do that. Yes, and enjoy the feel of it and the aroma of it and the taste of it, and be attending to me as maybe the shoes do hurt.
Right. Right. So a little bit of self care while you have to put those shoes on for a while. All right. I loved this. Thank you so much. We'll be back next week with more tools.
Tools, tools, tools. Yes. Again, if anybody wants to request a tool in any of the 4 areas, Nancy and Casey at gmail.com. Otherwise, we can always chat, can't we?
I think so. I think so.
More
Thank
tools. Bye.
you.
Bye, Casey.
Bye.
Bye.